What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today when I talk to you about Lucid, I want to go over some of the data points, what's moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid is down 1.41%, 24.42 the low, 25.23 the high, and 2.8 million shares being traded. 11.4 is the average. So when it comes down to Lucid, it had a nice spike. It was very short-lived, and that is because of Wall Street probably realizing that the new rating it did get was not necessarily from the most credible analyst. And what I mean by that is we had a $26 price target, Cantor Fitzgerald, 𝗪𝗓𝗓𝗏, who has a 54% success rating. I've kind of complained about him in the past on how he just loves to hear himself speak. And popping over here, this is a good representation of what I mean. So you have today's rating, October the 6th, $26 price target, September the 24th, $26 price target. Nothing has changed in this kind of gap of 2 weeks. So like I said, he just loves to hear himself speak, and most likely just be the most recent analyst rating for Lucid. That way he gets his name out there a little bit more. And even prior to that, you had a $20 price target, September the 8th, September the 4th, $20 price target. Nothing changed in those 4 days. So he's reiterating his ratings after 4 days. That is a joke. And this individual probably making $150,000 a year, which is crazy. And then you had August the 4th, July the 28th. Nothing changed in that week. July the 14th. Nothing changed in those 2 weeks. And then you had July the 7th. So he reiterated himself. And then you also have July the 3rd. So he reiterated himself 4 days, then a week, 2 weeks. You had a week, and then he waited a month. Like, this guy is a complete joke. So in reality, that's why you had that quick burst higher, and then nobody really gave two craps about it. So again, it's, if any other analyst did give a $26 price target, then yeah, Lucid would have actually gone up higher and not lagged the other EVs today. But because of it being 𝗪𝗓𝗓𝗏, market just says, F you, like, you're pretty much should just go work at McDonald's or something like that. But there's a couple of things really causing Lucid to lag today. One is simply that they haven't put out any news. So as I mentioned on my weekend video, that we should have their Q3 numbers sometime this week. And it would have been better for it to be, I guess, tail end last week, but today would have been ideal, because that's how the market's psychology does work, is that they see the day that it was submitted the year prior, and they use that as a benchmark. Anything after that date technically is seen as somewhat negative. Anything kind of moving up is seen as positive. So last year, 2024, they did submit it October the 7th. So again, that use that as a benchmark. So for instance, tomorrow, if they do not put out their numbers, anticipate Lucid to really pull back. So again, that's one thing just to kind of keep in mind, and most likely that is really affecting a lot of institutions to not buy Lucid, and that's why it's lagging other EVs. Aside from that though, on a technical standpoint, it is also really struggling with this right here, so that damn 200-day moving average. So at the end of the day, Lucid has been pounding at that door for the last 3 consecutive days, failing to really close above it. So again, that's going to be something that is either pinched this week, so their Q3 numbers either really propelling it higher or really breaking it down to most likely that 50-day moving average. So one thing that also is affecting Lucid is just the technicals. So let me know your general thoughts on that in the comments below. I'll dive deep into that a little bit further later in this video. Only thing that kind of came out unofficially was this. So Lucid CEO says Gravity's average selling price is about $120,000. And the selling price for the GT is $94,900. And I think in general, that's huge. And we've seen a lot of the flyovers, massive amount of demand for the GT. You can only imagine when they do unveil the actual touring being $79,900, how much demand is going to be for that. So let me know your general thoughts on that. It is rather unfortunate, just the timing, because I think they did orient the price $79,900 to be and qualifying for that $7,500 credit, which did end September the 30th. Lucid did mention that they are going to be extending it up until the end of the year. No real clarity to that. So we don't know if that's going to be only still qualifying for just leasing, or if they're just going to do a blanket for everyone. That's something that nobody from Lucid has kind of really mentioned at all. So yeah, even if they are doing it and extending it up until the year, administration's not going to be paying that. That's going to be coming out of Lucid's own pocket. So kind of a good bad thing. One thing I do see more and more big companies doing is just doing PR saying that they are accepting Bitcoin as a form of payment. Bitcoin is rallying like crazy. So new all-time high was just hit today. And so essentially you are seeing a lot of big companies saying, hey, you know what? If you want to pay in Bitcoin, go for it. Because there's been a lot of kind of regulatory easing on companies being able to accept Bitcoin. So I think in general, that would be something that doesn't really change Lucid operationally, but it might appeal to a couple extra target audiences out there. So if they accept Bitcoin, I think that would be pretty good, really push Lucid a little bit higher. At the time of doing this video, shorts are returning 138,000 shares, so nothing too crazy. 30.18% of the free float is being shorted, works to be 38.31 million shares overall being shorted. DTC sitting at 3.09 days, so it still does signal that shorts are rather overextended. Looking at the options, 841,000 in calls, 441 in puts. 46% of all the options being done are bullish in nature. Coming from a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly above 25. Bears are anticipating for it to be, there's not really much going on, like sub 25, and then you have a couple pockets for it to be sub 23. So again, something to keep in mind. Nothing really crazy on the secondary market right now, so somewhat evenly divided between buying and selling. So yeah, nothing really happening right now. And a lot of that is most likely because of just Lucid not putting out their Q3 numbers. If they put it out tomorrow, I think that'd still be seen as positive in the eyes of Wall Street. But if they somehow don't tomorrow and they put it out later in the week, it still might be good depending on the numbers. But I think Wall Street might start to kind of pull Lucid a little bit lower. These are some of the transactions occurring on the dark pool. So again, I'm orienting it based on the overall premiums. So you can always pause it to look at the timestamp if that's your thing. So we did have a couple big ones. So 735,000, 364,000, nothing over 1 million for today. With it right now at 24.50. It is currently trading right now between this R1 and the pivot. So 24.30 is going to be a strong support. 25.06 is going to be the next strong target / resistance, followed by 25.53. So market is really rallying higher, and all Lucid needs is to put out news, whether it be even that Bitcoin kind of news that they could do easily, or just put out their Q3 numbers. Easy stuff. But again, what do I know in life? Aside from that, on the actual chart, I think just it really needs to also get above that 200-day moving average. So that is sitting at 24.65. So that's been something that's really kind of suppressing Lucid. And even looking at the market position right here, you don't see that much willing sellers. So all you need is that nice gentle push, and then Lucid could really move higher from here. Nothing crazy for news or anything like that. The latest one just coming out about that Cantor Fitzgerald rating, but nothing. I don't really see any reason to buy Lucid because of that rating. Like I said, any other rating, then yeah, things would be a little bit different. But Andre Shepard, definitely don't have any respect for him at all. On a side note, if you do want to take a look at his reports, take a look at Moomoo, link in the description below and also the comments. Normally, websites charge for you to review analyst reports. Moomoo actually does remove that, so definitely pop over there and take a look at that. And plus, I have a good promo that if you deposit $100, they give you $50 back. So that's something that they offered me to kind of give to you. So if you want that, take a look at that in the description below. But all in all, I think Lucid's doing fairly well despite having lower volume, because normally, keep in mind, Lucid is heavily shorted, and whenever you have lower volume, kind of makes it easy for shorts to do what they want. So the fact that Lucid's actually holding up and not down like several percent, I think is something to take note of. Let me know your general thoughts on Lucid. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you are looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.